All right, Arkansas, Auburn. Auburn's a 3-point favorite. The over-under I have, yeah, I know, right?
Ooh.
The over-under is .5 Jetgate references. Real ones, no. Diehard college football fans don't have to explain this to you, but I would love the over to be able to hit on that. I don't think it probably will, despite the fact that we have Bobby Petrino returning to Auburn. Well, I guess he didn't technically go to Auburn. Auburn went to him with Jetgate. That's how that worked. Auburn
You don't want Bobby
infamously
Petrino going to you. There's safety hazards you got to take into account there.
disagree. Arkansas very much wants Bobby Petrino going to them at all times. Maybe the only people, not the
Just get him a
Falcons.
driver.
Yeah. Ooh, buddy. Yeesh. Too soon. If you don't remember Jetgate, and if you hear it referenced on the broadcast for some crazy reason, here's pretty much the long and short of it. Auburn pretty infamously flew to Louisville to try and poach Bobby Petrino while Tommy Tuberville still had a job end of the 2003 season. Tried to do it the night before the Iron Bowl. It leaked. Everyone looked awful who was involved in this. Amazing that Auburn had the 2004 that it did. Very historic, undefeated season, obviously. And then Tuberville ends up getting 5 more years after that. But anyway, when Petrino was the head coach at Arkansas, he beat Auburn 3 times in 4 years. Since the neck brace in that aforementioned so-so driving of motorcycles, Arkansas has only beat Auburn 3 times, including just once the last 8 seasons. If you're trying to figure out, and I get asked this question sometimes, like what's holding Arkansas back? Like what can take Arkansas to that next level? Because I think it's pretty easy to be like, oh, well, you see how they stack up against Alabama. It's the longest annual losing streak in the SEC is Arkansas. Alabama, obviously, they couldn't beat Saban. But I think for a better case to make for that argument is they can't beat Auburn and A&M. Those are the games that they actually need to win and can't. And that's what's prevented them from getting over the hump and being a consistent program. Huge opportunity for Bobby Petrino's offense against an Auburn defense that's been okay, but nothing really earth-shattering. Obviously, they didn't get the blame for that Cal loss because of how bad Peyton Thorne was. But nonetheless, there is an opportunity there. This isn't going to generate like a national viewing audience, but the loser of this coach is going to get ripped, Will. It's going to be a bad week for the loser because it's not like a full-on hot seat bowl. This isn't 2015 LSU Auburn. That's what I'm thinking of, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 2015 Tiger Bowl. But think about it. 3-point spread. If Arkansas loses to a backup quarterback because Hank Brown is going to get his first career SEC start,
which, to be clear, is home field advantage, 3 points. So if Auburn's a 3-point favorite, it's in Auburn. It's pretty much no spread.
Yeah, it's basically a pick 'em. Vegas is going, I don't know. These teams are kind of all over the place at this point of the season. But if that happens and if Arkansas loses, maybe it's a close game. Pittman is staring very likely at a 2-4 start going into the bye, which was pretty much the scenario I said he has to avoid if he wants to not have Hunter Yurachek go, you know what, maybe now is the time to pull the plug. You kind of get ahead of things a little bit instead of just dragging this on for a few extra weeks. If Auburn loses its second consecutive home game, it's to a team that has been, look, I think Auburn feels every single year that Arkansas game, when you do the preseason schedule, they pencil that in as a win. I don't necessarily blame them at this point. But if you lose to a team like that, Freeze's supporters will lose a lot of faith, and that's going to be a bad vibe at Jordan-Hare. It's tempting to take the Jaquindon Jackson, Taylor Green combo, as fun as those guys have been as a 1-2 punch to start off the year. I just don't necessarily think they're going to be able to avoid some of those ball security issues that have plagued really both of them in the first part of the season. So I'm going to reluctantly take Auburn in the unknown that is Hank Brown. And I'm going to say that Hugh Freeze avoids disaster and wins this one 31-21.
Man, this is going to be a fun week because this is another one. I think Arkansas is going to win. I think that at the end of the day, I know, okay, so good news for Arkansas. You're 1-0 against the state of Alabama going into this. The bad news is you really struggled with UAB and Trent Dilfer.
Do we call Pine Bluff part of the state of...
No,
that was Arkansas Pine Bluff. We're talking about UAB. We're talking about UAB. My bad.
Yeah,
My
there
bad.
we go. Yep. Okay, yeah, I was going to say Arkansas played Pine Bluff. Yeah, so it wouldn't be... Anyway, so point being, I think, I love Taylor Green. I don't think it's just I like him as a person. I think he has those moments, obviously, where you're still learning the new scheme. Everyone's still learning the new scheme. I think the scheme works. That's the big difference here with Auburn, right? Like Hank Brown, the good thing about Hank Brown is he's not Peyton Thorne, right? So at the end of the day, the enemy, you like they say at the Bayou, the devil that you don't know is better than the devil that you do know. Same deal here, right? It's like I think that I know unless Peyton Thorne has a historic rushing performance, how the Georgia game a couple years ago or last year, it's not really going to work for him. So point being, I man, this is so hard to say out loud, but I actually really do believe in this Arkansas offense. And I think that Auburn just hasn't proven to me that they can put anything together. I think that they've struggled in games they shouldn't have. I understand Arkansas has done the same thing. But if I'm just looking across the board and I'm like, these are two teams that I would say are similarly talented, right? Outside of a couple, like, Landon Jackson is another guy. Like, I think that at the top end, Arkansas might have a couple more of these guys. You talk about Jaquindon Jackson and like all that stuff. So, like, I think that honestly, if you're picking talent, I mean, who's the talent that kind of scares you at Auburn? Coleman, obviously, but he's a freshman. Who are the dudes on Auburn right now?
I would say, yeah, it's the freshman receivers. Those are the dudes. I mean, Jarquez Hunter has had moments in which you've seen the breakaway rushing ability, and he can have that 40, 50-yard touchdown. But you're right. I mean, they haven't established those guys consistently yet. And Keandre Lambert-Smith was kind of brought in to be one of those guys, and he's had some good moments, I think, to start off the year. But the guys that on the back end, you're like, that's going to be a mismatch. And by the way, Coleman's banged up, and it looks like he's going to be out for a little bit, I believe, dealing with the injury that he suffered in the Cal game right before Peyton Thorne throws it his way, and it ends up being an interception. But it's a fair point. They don't have those established guys yet. And this Arkansas defense has actually played, I think, all right. UAB game had some moments where it was like, it's not necessarily there. But, yeah, look, I think there's a reason why that spread is only 3. You could definitely see
that's with
Arkansas
the play-ins, by the way, which I undersold that. It's technically all counted as 3 points, but the play-ins should be a good 7 to 10 point advantage too. So because they've gotten up, but the thing is, I don't think this is a get up for this game. I don't think this is the 2, 3, 4 games of the year where Auburn really gets that spiritual power of Jordan Hare. I don't think they should need it for this game if they're a good team. So, yeah, point being, like, those games you kind of know ahead of time, right? Georgia, Alabama, like, they're these big mythological games that, Auburn just plays different home. I mean, these are two guys, and this is honestly the biggest compliment. Like, do not take this the wrong way, but these are two offensive coordinators that, like, draw some stuff up on a napkin, guys. Like, stuff you've never seen before. Like, these guys have forgotten more football than we'll ever know, talking about Petrino and Freeze. And I'm so fascinated to see these two offensive schemes and to see the formations and the sets and the way they use, Hank Brown, relative unknown. You want to kind of like make the playbook a little bit smaller for him to where you could just do the stuff that he knows how to do and you're not really trying to program him with too much stuff. But on the other side, if you're in an away game in the SEC, you also need to shorten your playbook a little bit too, especially with a guy like Taylor Green who's new to the offense. So I think this is actually going to be an evenly matched chess match between two guys who, like, let's say you give them like Georgia's talent. I think they would be able to do insane things with really plus level athletes. Georgia didn't really have the pass catchers this year, but like Ohio State's talent, like if they had like those type of guys, like, oh, we're going to have a middle screen to this guy who's going to then do a barrel roll and take off. Like, but with these levels of talent, you really can't get that creative because they can't win 1-on-1. So point being, like, this is going to be a scheme game. I do like Arkansas's talent. As weird as it sounds, a little bit better despite what Freeze is doing on the recruiting trail. I think that Arkansas has done a little bit more in the portal. But I think scheme-wise, Petrino was just a couple of steps ahead of Freeze too.
Still got it.
Yeah.
Robert Patrick still has it, man. I'm just saying, drawing him up on napkins. The sunglasses are going to be out. They're going to be popping. Would not be surprising if Arkansas won this game.